That CBS debate in South Carolina on Saturday night, boy, that was one of the most intense slugfests I have ever seen. You had Donald Trump going at it with Jeb Bush. You had Donald Trump going at it with Ted Cruz. And you had a very partisan audience, by the way. It seemed to consist mostly of Cruz and Rubio supporters who were cheering and booing every good or bad thing, depending on their preference of candidate. And I thought that John Dickerson at some point should have just told the audience to chill, because that's the way it's done in the fall general election debates. They're asked to hold their applause until the end, because it just got disruptive. A lot of people have commented on whether Trump did well, whether Trump did badly, whether he was too angry, why did he go after George W. Bush, and a lot of people, including we did a segment on Fox with Trish Regan, talked about whether Dickerson, a lifetime print guy who recently went to CBS as the host of Face the Nation, whether or not he lost control, whether or not he let the Cruz and Trump dust up and the Jeb and Trump dust up go on too long, whether he should have, moved on to the next question. I thought, why not let these guys debate? And he came close to losing control, but I didn't think that he did. Okay, got an email from LSS Rep who had a different view. I still believe that the media in this case, John Dickerson, was gunning for Trump and wanted a bloodbath, which he got. Major Garrett, the other CBS correspondent, and the other anchor were more fair and, quote, normal. Despite his faults, Trump is my candidate. We're in an era where being courtly isn't cutting it. We need action. So obviously, this letter writer, this emailer, is a fan of Donald Trump. Therefore, if the debate was seen as being unfair to Trump or didn't go well for Trump, or other candidates were giving too much leeway to attack Donald Trump, he doesn't like it. And this is why so much of politics and media are subjective. Because to the extent that Dickerson, whether you agree with his approach or not, I didn't see any evidence whatsoever that he was harder on Trump than he was on Ben Carson or Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio or Jeb Bush or anybody else who was on that stage, or John Kasich. I think that he asked well-researched questions. Now, there were a couple to Trump where Dickerson and his CBS team had dug up things that were new, and that made for an informative and illuminative debate. For example, I didn't know that Trump had said in a CNN interview in 2008 that talked about Nancy Pelosi and whether or not George W. Bush should be impeached over the Iraq War, and he spoke of that sympathetically, and then Trump used that to pivot to the Iraq War and what a mistake it had been, and accused George Bush's administration of lying about weapons of mass destruction. And that's when he really got into it with Jeb, who said he should stop insulting his family and that his brother had kept the country safe, and then, of course, Trump came back with 9/11. My point is, if you like a candidate, you often think that the anchors or debate moderators are being unfair. If you don't like a candidate, then you're happy to see very aggressive questioning. I thought Dickerson did a pretty good job. One thing is true, that debate is going to end up being pivotal in this week's South Carolina primary.